Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, and this is going to be my first sip of coffee of the day. Mustache is getting too long again. Look at this weather. Come out of her, my people. I kind of popularized that phrase on YouTube. Clearly it comes from the word. Come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her plagues. Babylon, the system. I was recently at a gathering of like-minded individuals, men, women, and children. Not very many children, but there were children there. And there were, at the gathering, represented a few different MAGs, crews. They weren't all Vikings. There were some individuals that were there, and it was good. Talks were given, presentations were made. I told the one guy, and OPSEC bro, I'm not saying who's there. I don't care if other people who were there say they were there, but no one has given me specific permission to say that they were at the event, so I'm not going to use any people. But one of the presenters there, I went up to him afterwards, and I said, I've been to about 100 of these gatherings where people get together and break bread, eat food, somebody gives a class or two or three or whatever. And his was the best class I'd ever attended, ever seen given. And I'd love to say more, but I told him, man, you ought to turn this into a video. So I'm not. But I'll say this, what I liked about it. Instead of being, do this way, do this way, put these things together this way, whatever. This is how you do it class. It was a concepts class, and I'm a concepts guy. I like concepts because you can take a concept once you understand it, and you can run with that according to your own situation, needs, and things like that. So I really liked the class a lot. But met a young man in his 20s who father told him, get up and move. Come out of her, my people. And he moved from Arizona out to the Ozarks, got himself a place. He said he felt it urgently. I was talking to another couple a couple days ago, and they live out near Portland. Saw the news on Portland, right? Antifa and the Proud Boys mixing it up. That'll be a hot spot in Civil War too. Portland, Seattle, all that stuff. But they live in Portland area, and they're like, man, we just got hammered by the father. We got to get out. We're coming to the Ozarks. Yep. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. People just get told, come out of her, my people. Come to the Ozarks. The Ozarks is a place of refuge. A place of refuge for what's coming. And I don't know how much time there is left. I don't know. If I did, I'd tell you, unless I was told not to. The time is now. Now while you can. I was on Following Yeshua's live cast last night. Sister Kate did a live cast just on a whim. I didn't think she'd be able to do it from our front porch, but she did. And so I was inside, and while she was doing that outside, and I was following along on my phone, which was getting okay reception. I was lagging about, 30 seconds behind her actually speaking. And after that was over, we tuned into Brother Chris and the sisters on the Rock, following Yeshua, and we were listening to their podcasts and commenting. And in a lot of ways, Brother Chris and family and me and mine are very different people from very vastly different backgrounds. And yet we are the same. I kind of chuckled at the end of the video. We were talking about how, and they started it. It was raining out there, recently, and one of their gutters isn't up correctly or something, and so water was like pouring out of the gutter. And one of the sisters just went outside and took a shower under the gutter in the rain, that was pouring out. And some people on the live stream were a little bit shocked. You could tell. It was funny. And I said, hey, we do the same thing. We do the same thing. Man, what is that line through that deal there? Maybe it's no flashlight. I hope you can hear me. I really aren't going to want to shoot this video again. We'll see when we're done. I think you can. New phone. And, he came from Arizona. He came from LA by way of Arizona and moved out here just because the father told them to move out here, found a piece of land, bought it. Got a job. He was talking last night about getting jobs in the Ozarks. He was talking about being black in the Ozarks. Bottom line, be cool, and there's no problems. I find myself wondering how much time we have left just by the intensity that I see around me of the people, and it's not because I started it, of the people who are coming out of her, my people, of the people who are fleeing the other areas and coming, in this case, to the Ozarks. I think there's probably people also going to the Redoubt. And honestly, I'm not saying there aren't other safe places in the continental United States, but I don't know where there's any gatherings going on like there are here in the Ozarks and in the Redoubt. I have noticed in the short past a couple pieces of property that I thought were amazingly low priced. Matter of fact, we were talking about that last night with a group of people about how the property prices here have just gone screaming upwards in the last couple of years. And then we all kind of said, yeah, but look at this property, look at this property, look at this property. And, $2,000 an acre for large acreages, that's really cheap. That's cheap anywhere. Did I tell you guys before? I may or may not have. My wife and I almost bought a house in a little hamlet near here. That was built in 1924, 29, somewhere back there, in a little town. And the structure was fine. It needed work. There had been a couple additions put on it, and one of the additions, when you stood in the hallway of that addition and looked up, you could see the sky. It was right at the interface of a shed roof coming off of a wall, and it had pulled out. And I could fix that easily. I could fix that in an afternoon. It had 5 layers of shingles on it, which needed to come off and be redone. But the structure of it was fine. In other words, it fit my criteria for it's not a do-over. There's just a lot of work. And the people who had left it trashed. And when I say trashed, I've been in houses worse than this one was, the condition. But there was like little pieces of crap, toys, broken things, plates, whatever, kind of scattered all over the floor, all over the house. No crap. Carpets looked okay. Tile, not popping or anything, looked okay. Walls, no holes in the walls. All needed paint. It was on almost a half-acre lot. It had a old spring house incorporated into it, like they'd used it, I guess, for their cold storage, like, and it's thick masonry construction, no cracks. Um, it had what my wife and I, when we were dreaming about it, looking at it, walking around, said, "Man, we'll turn this into a formal garden. Just look nice." Had an outbuilding that you really couldn't get to because of the weeds and shrubbery. So in town, um, I think a 3-bedroom house, 1 bath, had a jet tub in it. Um, Last occupied about 3 years ago. Um, how much do you think that house cost? 20K is what I offered, and they accepted it. And then I don't want to go into the long story, but on their end, the deal fell through, um, and it was immediately re-picked up. They were asking 29. I offered 20, and that was a lot higher than the two people before me had offered, and they were excited. It's under contract now. It's probably being sold around $20,000 for a house in a town in the Ozarks. A house that I probably would have immediately put $10,000 into. Um, I told my wife, if we get into it and hate it, it's just like way too much work, labor, or whatever, here's what we're going to do. We're going to vacuum the whole thing and clean it, wipe down, spray, paint the walls, turn around and flip it for 30K. I'll fix the roof, sort of, and we'll flip it for 30K. If you want to do it, you can do it. You can do it. A couple 21-year-olds, 3 21-year-olds could go together and buy a $20,000 house. They could get that money together if they wanted to and make that happen. You got to save your money now so you have a pot of money to play with. Because you weren't going to get financing on this house. You're going to have to buy it as is, right, for that price. The young man I was talking to is buying a piece of property. As much property is sold here. Man, I can't remember what it's called right now. I haven't had enough coffee yet. But it's where the owner holds the note and you're basically paying off the owner. That's how we bought this. And that's how he got his property when he came from Arizona out here. And I don't know, it's tens of acres. I can't remember how many, 40 acres or something. And it has I said, "What are you living in?" It has a big Quonset hut, like 20 by 40 or something. And right now he's just working in that until his place back west sells, and then he has some more operating capital. So basically he's paying rent, if you will, but it's like a mortgage to the owner. And he's working on his land. And he's getting it ready, and he's got gardens already in. He's working on rain catchment system so he doesn't have to worry about water. And he's just living the dream. Could he do other things? Yeah, he could do a lot of other things. He was not even 30. He's like one of my kids, He could be out there, unlike my children, playing Xbox or whatever the heck kids play today. I see him in like Wi-Fi places playing these games with robots and shoot them up. No, he's making a life for himself. And I talked to him about the idea of bringing some other young people on board with him. And I told him, I'll help you if you want. I'll advertise it for you or whatever if you want. He needs to get his feet on the ground first. But I said, you're in a good position to start a little deal where you have like another young couple or two or a couple singles, who think like you do. And I didn't get into his philosophy in life or faith or anything. I don't know. But he's a good guy. But get some people that you're compatible with who want to live like that. Really bring the cost down of actual day-to-day expenses. Divide that Quonset hut up, I'm talking now off the top of my head, I didn't tell him this part, but you could either divide that Quonset hut up into a couple different pieces or put some little cabins / shacks up on it And he was laughing how he thought it was neat that there was no building codes. Yeah. Next thing you know, you got a little community going where you're working on, growing veg and raising chooks and have some goats and milk them, make some soap, sell it at the market, have a couple part-time jobs to bring in a little bit of cash. You could make that work. And then, God forbid, something bad happens. You got a handful of people pulling together. So in a lot of ways, when you're single or a couple without children, it's a lot easier. I know when I was younger and married, I was in the military. I mean, I left college and went straight into the military. So, but my wife and I used to talk for the first few years, either as a girlfriend or as a married couple. I'm a worst case contingency planner, right? If everything goes to crap, we'll just live in my truck. We'll both get jobs at McDonald's. That'll be enough money. Worst case scenario, come on. And you can do that as a couple. You can do that as a young couple. You can do that as an old couple. My wife and I lived in a $300 trailer for 2.5 years trying to get this stuff going. You can do that. It's easier. When you have children, it's harder. Clearly, it's not undoable because people do it with small children and middle children and teenagers. People do it. I've read lots of articles. You probably have too. Seen videos of families who go do that. It takes a special kind of family to do that. But we've had young families out here for periods of time. And not only does it take a special kind of family, but done right, those children actually have a better life than they do back in the, sterile suburbs. I have a friend whose daughters are that are pretty awesome, actually. They're young. And they're smart, wicked smart, homeschooled, bright children, smart and pretty. They run around the woods like, tribal people. They're competent. The one girl can just go out there. She's little too, man. She's like 9 or something. She can just run out there into those woods, gather sticks, make a fire. No problem. Their parents have them enrolled in different courses to teach them different skill sets. Their parents are cool, so they're learning under the leadership of their parents. They're going to be cool adults when they grow up. And, they're living an off-grid life out here. Without all the garbage of the world being poured into their heads. So yeah, and the other thing is, this is true too with children. Children don't miss what they don't know. You start with them young enough and they think going outside and taking a shower underneath the downspout of the gutter is a good idea. Oh, this is awesome. We get to do this every time it rains. Woo! Right? As opposed to, you take a suburban kid and say, go take a shower. I guess what I'm trying to say is a couple things. You need to come out of her. You need to get out of those cities and built up areas. That's where the problems are going to be. Somebody asked me recently, a couple people have actually asked me recently to do videos on Civil War II. Probably not going to. I mean, if one starts getting ready to start, I may weigh in on it, but we're already in a cultural war. We're in a spiritual war. But here's the thing. I don't think it's coming out here. Not in any big way. It'll be in Portland, Seattle, Memphis, Kansas City, Northern Virginia. It'll be in all those places. That's not going to be out here. And I think, and I could be wrong, I could be 100% wrong. I hope I am, actually. But I think when this house of cards falls, by whatever means or means more than one, it's going to be quick. It's going to make people's heads spin. How 3 days ago I was having a mani-pedi, and today I'm stabbing people with my garden rake. You know, I think it's going to happen fast and be breathtaking. So I don't think the people who put it off are going to be able to get out. And I think that a lot of people are just way too comfortable and way too concerned about first world problems to actually take the step to live like this. I got to admit, when I came down here to live off-grid, in community, in a $300 trailer, I had some serious soul searching, and my wife and I, Sister Kate, had a lot of discussions. What the heck are we doing? And then at the time, she was doing a personal study, which she does from time to time, where she gets deep into something. And it was on the Pilgrims, Puritans, and how they came over here, and what they came over with, and how they carved a living out of nothing. And I thought, we have it so much over the Pilgrims. I mean, heck, I've got chainsaws. I've got a 911 call away from a helicopter landing right here. God forbid somebody gets injured. You know, we have good health care available. I have a truck. You know, we can carve a home out of this. And so that gave me hope, because humans have done that kind of thing before. And so we came here and we did it. And that's where I came up and coined the term neo-pioneer. You can do it. It's just, what are you willing to give up? And it's a theme I used to hit before. A lot of people like the idea of this, but they're not willing to take the steps. And here's the thing. If nothing happens, cool. But if this world goes the way I think it's going, the people who feared to take the steps because they wanted to cling to their comfort are going to be very uncomfortable. And people like us who forewent, is that a word? Forego, past tense, forewent, the comfortable 21st century life in many ways, and came out here and are doing things hard and taking a shower under the gutter downspout when it rains. And we're going to be comfortable compared to everybody else. So things to think about. And then I guess one more thing, which I'll probably do a separate video on, but it was a theme. I got around to the different groups at this thing I went to. And to one degree or another, we were all talking about food. Food for the people in the group. How do you get them to secure it? How does the group secure the food? And then food for people that aren't yet bought into the group, but you know are going to be. How do you convince them to get food, or how do you do it for them? Things like that. All right, these are the things I'm thinking on this morning while I drink coffee with y'all. Why don't you go camping? Go camping as a family. Get comfortable being outside. It's beautiful weather to go camping. Go camping at the lake. Take the canoe out. Catch some sunfish. Cook them on the fire. All right. I hope I see you out there.